It is, and to some extent this sort of casts a shadow over the glorious record that the Boris Johnson government has on, for instance, the vaccines that they forced through at high speed, which was a huge triumph for Boris. But the downside of that particular period is lockdown, which has caused immense and permanent, in some cases, changes to our... The consequences of lockdown are huge, vast and continuous, and we already are living to regret that very seriously.
So just in terms of Rishi Sunak, you know this better than anyone in terms of political manoeuvring. What is he up to? Why is he doing this now? Why did he not say this at the beginning of this leadership contest?
I don't know the answer to that. I do think that had he done so a bit sooner, maybe much sooner, I think he might have been the front runner, because I think that the scales are falling from the eyes of an awful lot of ordinary citizens and the Conservative Party voters about the disaster that is lockdown. And so I think that a lot of what he's saying, I have no doubt that what he's saying is the truth, that he was excluded from some of the information that he demanded. He wanted to know exactly why and how these forecasts and methodology was being compiled. He wanted to know the actual rationale for it, and he was denied that information even though he was Chancellor of the Exchequer. I mean, the second most powerful person in Cabinet, who is in charge of the purse strings of the nation, and he wasn't being told the story that he asked to be told.
I mean, it is quite extraordinary, considering when then obviously he then wheeled out furlough, he then wheeled out Eat Out to Help Out. I mean, I'm still very angry about those small businesses that got no help. We know that many SMEs went to the wall as a result, direct result actually, of what the government did. And what they also did is they frightened elderly people, and many elderly people have still not recovered. And I think that's pretty unforgivable.
I think that is absolutely true, and even perhaps more important, he frightened and affected the mental health of young people.
Indeed.
And the education and schooling and the work experience, the life experience of those children who are anything from the age, in fact, all children of all ages have been affected by the fact that their parents have had to work from home, sometimes in not very satisfactory conditions, sometimes resulting in domestic violence, all sorts of things. The schooling was completely disrupted. We surrendered the whole country to the SAGE movement and to the trade unions in charge of our public services at that time, and we will pay for that for many, many years to come.
I think that's right, and particularly with young people, I know many are actually behind in their literacy and numeracy because of COVID lockdowns, and I think what we did to children was pretty unforgivable, actually. In terms of Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss now, I mean, in terms of where we are, I think, well, how many days have we got? 11? 11 goes on forever. But we've got 11 days left. Liz Truss obviously seems to be in the lead. We've got 150,000 members who are voting. But obviously this petition caught my eye today, the Bannerman Cruddas petition. Even CCHQ Central Office have said that yes, they've got 8,000 odd signatures, I think 8,600 signatures. If it reaches 10,000, could that throw all of this up in the air?
Who knows, with the crazy system that operates in the Conservative Party, which is, I think, actually reprehensible for dragging this out right through the summer.
Agreed. During
a genuine and potentially catastrophic cost of living crisis, when action needs to be considered and precious days and weeks. So if you're right and it reaches 10,000 and the petition is actually put into some sort of effect, I think that would be equally disastrous. To bring back Boris Johnson now would be a recipe for disaster for the Conservative Party and for the government, and indeed for Boris Johnson. So I think it's an absurd, preposterous and divisive piece of mechanism that we should throw.
Southbound, you've got lane closures there for emergency repairs between junction 33, the A6, and junction 32 for the M55. I'm Adam Moore.
We've got a hot August deal. BT Superfast Fibre policy today. He believes this is going to go on for 6 years.
Boom and bust fracking industry, the seismic events that come alongside that.
Which are negligible.
The air pollution and also the destruction to landscapes. I think they actually want true levelling up, which means industries that will last for their whole lives and a better future for future generations.
Okay, so what's the solution?
I think the solution, the most logical step is to reduce the amount of gas we need in the first place. Every kilowatt of gas we don't use is one we don't need to find and one we don't need to pay for. So let's insulate our homes. They're so leaky, they're among the worst in Europe. Insulation is clearly the way to go if you want to permanently reduce bills.
And can you do that by
And richer people might contribute some, and low-income households get it all paid for. There's various options on the table.
Okay.
The candidate. So I think that's the question for the new Prime Minister to answer. And in those terms, it's looking at insulation, it's looking at renewables, but also looking in the immediate term about help that people might need. And there's fuel poverty groups who have suggestions on the levels of help that low-income households might need.
Well, just looking at the policies here, Labour said that they want an energy efficiency revolution, so they want to insulate, which is fine. They want to double the onshore wind capacity, double offshore wind capacity, commit to solar, tidal and hydrogen, and build nuclear power stations. Now, in terms of the Conservative Party, they're now looking at fracking nuclear power stations. This morning, Reform UK said that actually what needs to happen is that there needs to be an energy price cap, and if they don't sell at the prices that they are told to do, then they should actually be nationalised, and at the same time there should be fracking, SMRs built, and no more subsidised renewables. So at least there are some solutions going forward from many of these parties, but the fact is that people are struggling now. How on earth are they going to pay £5,000 or more a year?
Yeah, I think that's the key point. Are they going to freeze the energy cap at a certain level? Are they going to offer more help subsidising bills? Or are they actually going to tackle the root of the problem rather than the symptoms? And try to wean us off gas, which, let's be honest, it's not a wind crisis, it's a gas crisis, and gas is clearly the root, so we need to tackle that rather than fiddling around with other price caps or scrapping green levies.
I live in the country, I don't have gas, I have oil. This is the only way I can heat my house. So what do you do about that?
Well, I don't know what kind of house you live in, but I would suggest getting in touch with a plumber or an engineer to see if you can have a heat pump installed. They run off electricity, so they're also 3 times more efficient, so you use 3 times less energy. And at the moment, that's the massive help to people because it reduces your bills.
And how much does that cost?
Well, it depends on the home. Again, they start at about £4,000, but if you've got a bigger home, it'll be more. You can get a £5,000 grant at the moment, which is literally free money from the government for installing these things, so that might help you along the way.
I don't think it will, but thank you very much for joining me, Jess. Jess Ralston there, who's from the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit. I have to be careful what I say, but I'll let you decide what you think about that. Was that helpful advice? Do you want to insulate your home? Will that help you cook your sausages? Let me know. This is Talk TV. We're broadcasting live from the Talk Radio studios.
On DAB+, on the app, Talk Radio and Talk TV.
Drive on Talk Radio with Co-op Car Insurance. Park £50 in your pocket. New and existing Co-op members who buy car insurance get £50 to spend in store and will donate £9 to local community food projects. Get a quote online today. Terms and conditions apply. Co-op Car Insurance is provided by a select panel of insurers.
EE full fiber broadband can connect 100 devices around your home, like laptops, smartphones, smart TVs, smart fridges, even smart kettles. You can connect them all. Pretty impressive, huh? This is EE full fiber broadband, powered by BT. Limited availability. Check coverage at ee.co.uk.
When you rented a 4x4 at booking.com super easily, casually steer it over gorgeous mountain roads, step out at an ancient market drenched in foreign scents, give a friendly nod to the performer balancing on a slackline, and with a confident smile climb onto the rope yourself. That's when you realize, unfortunately, not everything is as easy as booking.com. Easily find rental cars in over 145 countries. If only everything was as easy as booking.com. Booking.yeah.
Philip Schofield here. To find out if you can sell your car to We Buy Any Car, just answer the following question. Is your car a car? If you answered yes, then we'll buy your car. From a few £100s to over 100 grand. We buy any car, any make, any model, any condition. The clue's in the name. To find out how much your car's worth in 30 seconds, enter your reg number now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Admin fee may apply. For more information, see WeBuyAnyCar.com/info.
Hula hoops puffed. Sense its lightness, its puffiness. Unleash the delicious taste of Hula-licious.
Hula Lightful. Hula Hoops Puffs. Light puffy hoops in a range of delicious flavours and 72 calories per pack. Hula-licious. Hula Lightful.
Your way from driveway to motorway. Talk Radio. Travel update.
Buckets long queues on the clockwise M25, which is partly blocked just after junction 16 for the M40 after a collision involving a van which has overturned. In Essex, the clockwise M25 partly blocked after flooding between junctions 27, the M11, and 28 for the A12. And in Hampshire, the M3 northbound is queuing past a broken down van. That's between junction 4 for Guildford and junction 3 for Bracknell and the A322. I'm Adam Moore.
Talk Radio. Powered by common sense. Activated by opinion.
Free Speech Radio.
On the app, on your smart speaker, and on the money. Talk Radio. Talk Radio and Talk TV.
Clear-headed, honest opinion.
Watch live on FreeSat Channel 217.
On Apple TV and Samsung TV Plus.
Listen live on DAB+. That's your smart speaker to play Talk TV. And get access to exclusive content by downloading the Talk TV mobile app. Available for free now from the App Store and Google Play. Talk Radio and Talk TV. On your mobile, on your wavelength. Talk Radio and Talk TV.
Welcome back to Talk TV with me, David Bull. I'm a little calmer now after that interview with Jess Ralston from the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit. I'll be interested to know what you think of that. Let me know. 0344 499 1000. Text the word talk in your message to 87222. You can also tweet us at Talk TV and tweet me at Dr. David Bull. I wonder what you make of that. Well, my screen here is lit up like a Christmas tree. David, this is from Chris in Newbury, or Chris Newbury, saying, David, the only thing wrong about the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit is the use of the word intelligent. They've insulated their brains from logical thought. Thank you for that. Catherine says that woman was... I'll paraphrase this, was talking nonsense. What is wrong with these people? Lots of others about that. What a load of nonsense. This one says that heat pumps actually cost a fortune. They're also not effective. That is from Frank Devlin. We've also got one from Louise saying, David, I have suspended ceilings on sash windows. I'm not allowed to touch them. I can't insulate it. And that was the point I was trying to make. It's all very well saying in a new build that you're going to increase the insulation. That's one thing, but when you've got historic properties, when you've got properties that are listed, properties with sash windows or high ceiling, it's incredibly difficult to do. It will cost a lot of money, and who's paying for this? That's the bit I don't quite get. The whole point is we're trying to help people to save money so they can actually eat. So at the same time, they're now saying you need to spend all this money to make your home more energy efficient, and it won't be done next year. So what are people going to do in the interim? I think the whole thing, well, yes. Well, I think you know what I think about the whole thing. But anyway, let's move on now and talk about another subject that I read about this morning. That is the NHS Confederation. I'll tell you what that is in just a minute. The NHS Confederation is drawing up a trans guide for hospitals to use inclusive terminology. So essentially, this NHS lobby group is seeking a research partner for £20,000 on trans allyship. It will be for senior NHS leaders and include a segment on inclusive language. It also asks for a battle plan for the NHS and how it should deal with anti-trans group. And critics of woke NHS policies fear it could silence those trying to protect women. The NHS Confederation essentially is a charity representing health service bodies in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. It's essentially advertising this £20,000 contract to create a practical guide to being a trans and non-binary ally. Joining me now is Miranda Yardley, who is a trans woman and human rights activist. Good afternoon to you.
Oh, hi.
Very good of you to join me. Thank you very much indeed for your time this afternoon. Obviously, this headline is going to be, I think, inflammatory for lots of reasons. What are your thoughts behind it?
I think the whole thing is particularly inflammatory. I mean, here you have a course of action that is being considered that always seem to affect one particular 51% of the population, and as a guide to how thoroughly wrong things are, how far this has crept through, the person that you've got on now speaking about why this is wrong is not directly affecting it. I'm not going to be affected by the erasure of language of that is unique to women. Other women are, and here you are, you've got a bloke speaking about it online.
Yeah, so can you just sort of break this down? Because I think many people at home will be scratching their heads and trying to get their heads around this. Now, obviously, we've heard a great deal about the trans debate. And it's really important that, and as a medic, it's really important we treat everyone with dignity and respect. We need to understand that. We need to understand that we're all different. But essentially, we are dealing with a small group of people who are trans. It's a really important group, and we need to ensure that they are looked after. But things like this, I'm not sure help the cause.
I don't think that they would. I don't think these things help anybody other than the parts of the equality, diversity and inclusion machinery, this cash cow which has appeared, which seems to allow these organisations to spring up and speak with authority and recommend ideas and processes to businesses that have absolutely no basis in reality. Look at what similarly has happened with Stonewall, with the various schemes that they've introduced that have been presented to companies and governmental bodies and public bodies and schools as being best practice, and they don't even follow the basic equality legislation that we have. It's like some sort of giant Ponzi scheme.
I tell you why I'm just deeply nervous, because for those people who are trans, it's important that they're respected, they have rights, and that they are looked after by society. What I'm nervous about with things like this is that all it will do is put people's backs up. People don't understand it, and essentially when you look at the trans community, I don't even know what the figures are, but it's certainly a small proportion, something like 0.1 to 0.6% thereabouts, but at the same time, it's almost like these organisations, as you rightly mentioned, Stonewall, for example, the NHS Confederation, for me, all it does is undermine the very care that you're trying to give.
Yeah, then you talk about dignity and respect. First of all, I don't think it's treating people with dignity to lie to them or to present them with a view of reality that is contrary to what is actually happening in the real world. And again, I would emphasise the point that when we're talking about dignity and respect, it's always that 51% of the population which nurtures a child for 9 months, gives birth, and it's always women that are at the sharp end of these ideas. I think if men as a class were put at the sharp end of these unusual ideas and these reality bending processes that these businesses come up with, because they are businesses, I think things would be completely different.
So if you were in charge, in terms of the important issues that you face, what are the most important issues for you accessing equality of healthcare, for example? Is it actually making sure there is equality of healthcare, or is it things like this anti-bias training?
I have absolutely no problems in the real world with accessing appropriate healthcare for any condition that I may have, and whether that is because I have the privilege of being a white male or some other reason, I don't know. But there is, to my mind, from what I can see, there is no impediment towards people getting appropriate healthcare for anything that they would consider to be part of their own trans experience. Where there is a deficiency in healthcare is, of course, that Cinderella of the National Health Service, which is the mental health services. Yeah. And I think there are a lot of people who are very unhappy and very distressed and that manifests as anger and confusion and various other things. And of course, we seem to be in a position where it's easier for somebody to have parts of their body removed than to access any form of meaningful mental health care.
You make a great point. I mean, obviously we've been covering the Tavistock unit inquiry and essentially that being closed down. What were your thoughts on that?
I think it's absolutely appalling that an organisation like that is supposed to take care of young children for such a protracted period of time encounters a vast shift in the demographic of children that are using the services, where it goes from predominantly young males to a vast number of young girls without anybody actually saying to themselves, why is this happening? I think it's professional neglect and intellectual laziness on a dramatic scale.
I mean, you're right. In many ways, when you look at those numbers, it doesn't take a genius to work out when you start with 350 referrals and go up to something like 5,000, someone needs to ask some questions. No one asked any questions. The fact is, they were too keen to I assume, accept what the young people were saying, or there was an acceptance that there was a treatment pathway and every single person went on that and no one was challenged.
Yeah, these children have been treated like widgets on an assembly line. It makes me absolutely livid to think of what has happened here, and what has happened here in the name of progress. And as we see with these words of equality, diversity, and inclusion that get bandied about, and those words mean anything but. There is evidence to suggest that significantly most of the young children who are presenting presenting with claimed transgender identities, they will grow up to be, regular lesbian or gay adults, and it's extraordinary that nobody has thought of following this through, and that as we've seen from the various stories that have fallen out around this, what we've seen is that there has been a reluctance to acknowledge this as a fact. And given that this organisation is the centre of excellence within the UK, it's got this captive audience, and it has had absolutely no way of collating and understanding what has actually been going on here. It's absolutely terrible, and I really hope that the CAS report, when it's released, will do justice to this criminal neglect.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for joining me today. That's Miranda Yardley, who's a trans woman and also a human rights activist. So in terms of our main story today, Rishi Sunak saying the way we handled COVID, the way that we locked down, what was imposed upon us was wrong. What do you think about that? How was the COVID pandemic mishandled? What outcomes do you want to see from this inquiry? Do let me know. This is Talk TV. We're broadcasting live from the Talk Radio studios. Time now for the news.
The home of common sense, Talk Radio and Talk TV.
Drive on Talk Radio with Co-op Car Insurance. New and existing Co-op members get £50 to spend in store when they take out Co-op Car Insurance. Plus an extra £5 will go to local community food projects. Get a quote online today. Terms and conditions apply. Co-op Car Insurance is provided by a select panel of insurers.
All new Lexus NX plug-in hybrid feels like nothing that came before. With beautifully bold styling, a masterfully crafted interior, and an exhilarating ride. Feel more in every moment with the all-new Lexus NX plug-in hybrid. Book your test drive today at lexus.co.uk.
You don't just find amazing deals at Currys, like the Hotpoint Class 4 electric built-in oven for just $319, saving you £40. This cunning cooker is multifunctional, A-rated, and has catalytic liners that burn away food Amazing news for you and the planet. In fact, you'll find us £25 off all Hotpoint large kitchen appliances over $249. Amazing. In store and online at Currys. Was $359 from 29th of July to 18th of August 22.
At British Gas, we know we need to do more to help those most in need, which is why we've put together the biggest ever customer support package provided by an energy company. This £25 million fund includes fuel grants of up to £750 and is on top of government support. It also funds new local advice centres and advisors who can help manage finances and save on bills. To find out how we can support you, search British Gas. Eligibility criteria applies. To verify, see britishgas.co.uk.
Trust a trader. Only works with the very best tradespeople.
Apply to join us now at trustatrader.com and really grow your business.
We've got a hot August deal. BT Superfast Fibre is now only $25.99 a month. That's brilliant broadband at a scorching price. Plus BT Superfast Fibre comes with a speed guarantee, super strength and security built in. At $25.99 a month with no upfront costs, it's worth every penny. Hurry, offer ends 25th of August. Join BT today. 24-month contract, broadband only, new customers, CPI plus 3.9% increase each March, $30.99 per month, 25 times apply. Talk Radio.
Mild irritation.
What are you thinking?
Talk Radio.
The home of common sense.
Pokemon have arrived in Happy Meal. Which one will you find? Will it be Pikachu, who can generate powerful electricity? Well, how about Growlithe with hot flare bursts? Nice. Or Rowlet, who... Discover Pokemon in your McDonald's Happy Meal now and enjoy delicious melon chop. It's just...
CB News at 5 o'clock. I'm Chloe Deacon. Police have vowed they will not rest until they catch the killer of 9-year-old Olivia Pratt-Corbell in Liverpool. But they've admitted the gunman may have already fled the country. Officers say there's been a phenomenal response from the public, though, and they're following a number of very positive lines of inquiry. Former Merseyside Police Inspector Peter Williams says that poses its own issues, though.
It doesn't surprise me whatsoever that the public have responded to these police appeals. They will continue to do so. One of the dangers they've got is actually information overload.
Meanwhile, police have been working on other fatal shootings that have happened in the city in the last week. A man and a woman have been arrested following council worker Ashley Dale's death on Sunday. Today's GCSE results suggest growing evidence of regional divides, with bigger grade drops in the northwest and southwest of England. Overall, the number of top marks also fallen as students sat exams for the first time since before the pandemic. Dental leaders are warning NHS dentistry is on its last legs in England as new data shows the sector's not back up to pre-pandemic levels. Although 26.4 million courses of treatment were delivered in the year to April, that's only 2/3 of the care provided between 2019 and 2020. Health Secretary Steve Barclay admits there are pressures on the NHS dentistry and explains what he's trying to do to help.
So contract changes, looking at the funding that we've allocated, using that better, but also using the skill sets that's available more effectively as well. And on top of that, thinking about our international recruitment.
Albanian police could be brought to the UK to help curb the numbers of migrants crossing the channel in English boats. The Home Secretary says 2,165 Albanians made the dangerous journey between January and June, and that's compared with just 23 in the same spell last year. And Novak Djokovic isn't going to be playing in next week's US Open tennis. America won't let any outside visitors into the country who haven't been jabbed. That's the latest UCB News.
Thank you, Chloe. Well, looking at the weather this evening, there's dry weather with clear spells for many central and eastern parts of the UK. It's going to be cooler than recent nights, and there's cloud and showery rain in the northwest. That's extending to other western parts by the morning, but it's becoming clearer in northern Scotland, and lows tonight will be between 9 and 16 degrees across the UK. And then tomorrow there's cloud and rain initially across western regions. That's moving slowly eastwards, and it's becoming more showery throughout the day. And then it's looking like it'll be dry and fine in many central and eastern areas, and for the northwest of Scotland as well. Highs for Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales will vary between 15 and 20 degrees. For England, they'll vary between 17 and 25 degrees tomorrow.
The power of God's Word from the NIV Bible.
Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving.